And now, the main event, where tonight's entertainment is the review of entertainment. We like movies, we like television, and we like overthinking it. Introducing the podcast of critics.
And welcome to the podcast of critics. I'm your host, Ashley.
I'm Garrett.
And we are here today.
I have a start.
We're here.
I wanted to start this one because we're back with our series. I'm going to throw the effects on again. You ready?
Oh, no.
With our current series, Disney Channel Original Summer.
You're weird.
Yep. But yeah, we're keeping the series light, right? It's a very lighthearted series compared to our heavier movies that are real movies.
These were dark.
We're
2 for 2 on dark.
Right. But let me keep it light. Let me keep it light before we get dark, because this does get pretty dark. But I want to start out with a joke. To keep it light. Okay?
All right, whatever.
Knock, knock.
Come in.
Don't say come in. You do the joke. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Wendy.
Wendy who?
It's Wendy Wu, you dumbass.
And that is what we are talking about today. Wendy Wu, homecoming warrior.
Yep.
I'm hype, man. I'm
You were
really
very high. So this is your pick. This is your
pick.
one that you have chosen for us to review.
I didn't realize until rewatching that this was a very pivotal movie for my character development as a person.
What year was that? How old were we when this one?
So this was 2006, so we were about 9-ish, 10.
Okay, so a year after the one we just did. Mm-hmm. A year after now you see it.
Yeah, we're kind of going sequentially.
Gotcha.
I don't know if we're going to go back for the next one.
I think we're going back for the next one.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
We're not going to discuss that right now.
No.
'Cause
Spoilers.
We're going to keep it where it is.
Yeah.
So this is wild a very wild movie.
I remember liking it as a kid. I don't think I've seen it probably since that period, since I was like 13 or so.
I don't think I have
watching
either.
these on reruns and stuff.
I don't think I have either. Maybe in middle school, maybe once or twice in high school, if that.
Yeah.
But after that, and it's been about 10 years since high school.
Yeah, we're coming up on it. We're getting up there, man.
So sad.
A very different type of high school in this movie than even the type that we grew up with.
Bro.
It's very... because the last one we watched, Now You See It, was not set like in school. Mm-hmm. So this one, we're kind of back to our Disney Channel high school tropes,
right,
that are so familiar to us, with these.
Yes, except they snuck this past us, kind of. Mm-hmm. This was not set in an American high school. This was set in a New Zealand.
Oh, was it filmed in New Zealand?
It was actually filmed in the New Zealand Community College or some Auckland Community College.
It does. Now that you say that, the campus does look a little more community college-y than high school.
Long Bay College, a high school in Auckland. So
Auckland.
Yeah, I'm sorry if I'm butchering that pronunciation.
Auckland, New Zealand. I'm trying not to butcher it. This is my best Kiwi accent.
Is that
Wendy Wu, homecoming warrior.
Are you going to get us killed?
Yeah, well, yes, on that note, we should say we'll try to be... This is like the first movie we're doing where we kind of have to be a little culturally...
sensitive,
conscientious and stuff. Yeah, because this one is very, more than anything, kind of about like Chinese culture and heritage and stuff. Because as a kid, if you remember the trailers for this and stuff, it was like Disney Channel's kung fu movie.
Yeah,
is kind of what it was pitched to you as. And even as a little boy, I don't give a crap about being a homecoming queen. No. I certainly give a crap about being a warrior.
Okay.
So that's the thing that gets you into it. But I have no memory as we're watching this now of all this stuff that they go into about her heritage and like that kind of really being the heart of the movie, So
you remember, we're going to go back to last week a little bit. You remember how there was like ABC Saturdays? Mm-hmm. Do you recall what else was on during that time period? On like Saturday morning, there was part of like the Saturday morning cartoon stuff.
No.
Power Rangers.
Yes.
So big thing for this one is that the executive producer for the Power Rangers franchise, Koichi, I'm gonna butcher his
Again,
name.
we apologize
I'm
at the
so
top
sorry
if we butcher any of these actors, producers, stunt people's names because
I am so sorry. Koichi Sakamoto.
okay,
I had to
That's
say
not-
it fast.
It's pretty good.
I
yeah.
had to say it fast. He is the executive producer for Power Rangers for the whole series, and then he was also our consultant for or the action
coordinator.
of like all of the kung fu moves. So everything was blessed by him.
Right guy for the job
Yes.
at this point in time.
And
yeah.
now that I've said that to you after watching that, do you feel that vibe?
Yes, especially later when we get into like how the villain costume and stuff, and how they
Yes.
move and all that. Yeah, I think they had some actors in here from Power Rangers too, if I'm not mistaken, but I could be wrong. Did you watch Power Rangers as a kid?
No, I did not.
Was
I don't
it-
even know the colors.
Yeah, was it because it was quote unquote violent?
Yes.
That was also the excuse I was told. That's why I didn't watch it.
Wait, there's overlap in the lore.
A little bit, yeah.
That's
Is
kinda crazy.
My parents probably didn't even know where it aired though. Like I certainly don't remember it airing on any of the channels that I watched as a kid. Maybe it was it was in a secret place where I just wasn't allowed to access it, I guess. So no,
Those parental controls.
maybe, yeah. So I don't have nostalgia or any real knowledge of Power Rangers outside of like a general cultural awareness that like it's, it was silly and it was fun and people liked it and it was actiony, but because they fought was kind of the excuse as to why. I mean, cut to me watching fucking the Batman animated series where he's throwing punches every day or whatever. So,
Oh. Wow.
I don't think it mattered that much, but maybe because it was live action, like that was maybe a bit of the
It was more
difference.
real. I was watching stuff like Rush Hour way before I was supposed to. So like I don't
Violence is probably not even like the worst part of those.
I should not have known about Rush Hour
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
At that age.
And Jackie Chan does get a shout out in this.
Yes, he does. So, okay, getting into it. So, as always, plot, performance, production. We're going to get right into it. So, so Disney changed the font even.
Yes.
For the opening title sequence.
The opening title sequence of this, a lot better than the last one. Than Now
Yes.
You See It. Because Now You See It was just like the title overlaid on like a random shot from the movie.
Right.
It was very lazy. This one, that was one of the first things that I wrote down and just have noticed is that like they very clearly cared about this one.
Yeah.
This was not like a production line like, oh, we have some spare money left over. Let's go make a movie with some of our stars right now. This was
Yeah.
like they cared about this.
Well, it's kind of cool because it's a lot of the history of this is actual Chinese history,
Yeah.
as well as historically accurate as far as
Like they reference real dynasties and like
real dynasties, and then the deity entity, the evil spirit that she is fighting or is meant to fight, is taken from both Buddhist and Hindu, which as we know from world religions, they all kind of overlap anyways.
Yeah.
But it's taken from the Buddhist and Hindu religion, Yamaraja.
Oh, okay.
Terribly sorry if I fucked that up too. Who is the Lord of Death in Hindu? I was not able to find the Buddhist
Equivalent.
lore, but I was able to find lore is probably
Mythology. Mythos.
Shit.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm just gonna blanketly say I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But from the Hindu, which I have roots in.
Yeah, you should say a little bit for
Should
the
we
listener.
start with that now?
Yeah, is that you do have kind of like a foot in to this cultural pond a little bit.
Yeah, so my grandmother is on my mom's side is Chinese, and then my grandfather on my mom's side is Indian, and then I have more things on my dad's side that is an extensive list. But so this is like the Chinese grandmother in this, very near and dear to my heart. I
Hit
lost
pretty
my
hard.
grandmother. Yeah, it hit. I told you when I was watching.
Yeah, you watched this I watched it for the first time today in a long while. Ash, you did a pre-watch to
Yeah,
kind
I
of
did an exploratory for my notes. And I lost my grandmother in 2020, and that was pretty sudden. We were very close, and this was kind of healing to watch.
It felt like it when you texted me. You were like, "Man, this hit."
It hit.
Yeah.
It hit. Because, As a kid, you
don't know. Like I was saying,
you don't appreciate.
Like, right. Well, like I was saying, like I don't remember, and I don't remember noticing like the cultural elements of this so much as I just remember the Power Rangers of it more than anything, you know.
Yeah.
So I can see coming back to this and being like, oh, the theme of this is way. I don't know about deeper, but certainly meaningful.
Yes. And so anything that I butchered today in this recording, I am so sorry. I don't mean it that way. I mean it with all the respect in my heart, that I am just thankful to have this heritage, thankful to be a part of that community, even though I myself, like the people in the story, sort of turned my back on it to assimilate into American culture.
Yep.
So very hard hitting, and it's supposed to. It's meant to be really like light as a Disney film, but it wasn't.
Oh, I'm sure this meant a lot to. And then that was the other thing I was reading. Like I said, when they come into this with the attitude of caring about it, is that it apparently was very well received at the time by the like Asian American community, and like it felt very impactful. And we've even seen this recently with Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah.
You know, and people were kind of talking about that and how important that movie is. And not to compare this to that.
No.
But same kind of vibes where like people felt very represented.
Well, representation matters, and this one, especially in something as lighthearted as a Disney. I keep saying lighthearted like it actually is.
Well, it's important for children. It's important for children especially. It's one thing if you're like a young adult or a teenager to kind of see yourself represented in things, like you're kind of aware of it. But as a kid, I think it's even more important to see yourself in things because that becomes foundational. You feel foundationally included in the society in which you exist.
Well, even like looking back now, I know that I felt less crazy as a kid because the grandmother was very much like my grandmother was, and she was watching her soap operas during the day.
Even
we did not miss a daily viewing of The Young and the Restless. That was we had to watch that every day at 11 o'clock sharp. Okay,
that's where
the
you find
whole
her.
world stops, and she is laying in front of the TV watching Young and the Restless. And screw everybody else for the next hour. And like little quirky things like that where if the food is, something that I didn't want to necessarily like eat, it wasn't, I wanted cappuccinos and chocolate. I did not want mooncakes.
Yeah.
Not that we got mooncakes, we got other things, but all those kinds of things where you, as a kid who did not see a lot of Asian representation, and if it was kind of kitschy, like it was kind of funny. So seeing this be taken seriously, I know that was impactful, and to the point where like I dyed my hair the same colors that she did when I got the first opportunity that I got to in a couple of years later. So
yeah, she looks great in this movie. That was one of the things.
And I've always loved Brenda Song. She's fantastic.
Oh, she's great, and we're very glad that she's still doing well. Married to Macaulay Culkin now.
Love that for her with some kids.
Right? Yeah, isn't that that's one of those couples that's just like such a random.
Well, I think they protected
pairing.
their peace. I think they
understand the upbringing of being a child actor, which is kind of the kind of other shadow kind of hanging over this series is like the fact that like these are children actors. It's Disney Channel.
Oh yeah.
And
we're still reeling from the Quiet on Set documentary.
Yeah, and comparatively, who knows how you can't even compare Disney and Nickelodeon. Like that, the sins of this industry permeate any.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it does not matter. But anyway, going back to it, it's like this one was well received. It was important. When I'm reading the IMDb stuff, it was like Brenda Song was very proud to be a part of this.
As she should be. Yeah. Because, so a little bit of the background on this, she did most of her own stunts.
She's a black belt, I believe? Taekwondo?
I don't know if she herself is a black belt, but she did train specifically for this. The monk, Shin, is a current black belt holder in Okinawan karate. He's Japanese.
Yeah, was it Shin Koyamada? I can't remember.
I was not looking at his actual name. Shin Koyamada.
Shin Koyamada. Yeah. Who's another one of these like real actors that's been in like real. He was in The Last Samurai.
Yes.
With Tom Cruise and stuff. So like, it's kind of funny.
He's
about
a legit dude.
He's a legit dude. But they also got him for at least 2 seasons of the Disney Channel games after this.
Yeah. Isn't that cool?
Well, it's cool, but I got
you have him, like anybody who had him on the team, that's it.
Oh, right. Yeah.
You're done.
Just your ace in the hole. Yeah, yeah. But I think that's funny that like he signs on to do this and then is like, I'm just stuck doing the Disney Channel games now for 2 years.
Maybe it was fun for him. I don't know.
It looked fun. I remember liking those a lot as a kid. That was a fun event.
I wanted to do them at the house in the backyard.
Yeah.
Because it was usually during the summer, too, that it aired.
It was a great concept to bring all those people together. They probably hated it. It was probably like
some of them maybe hated each other.
Mm-hmm.
So we open up to this really cool title scene, and we go right into Shen training.
Our monk kind of side protagonist, Shin.
Doing his training. The elder monk tells him it's time. And he's like, he goes, I hope you're ready or whatever. And then Shen says something to the effect of, I hope I don't let you down, I think is what he says.
Yeah.
And the elder says, and this is why this is important because it'll come back. Because
it may not be you that lets us down.
Yes. Which, rude.
Well, yeah, like they're already expecting her.
The fate of the world is on this girl and you already are betting against her?
Yeah. Like clearly the faith is not there,
What is wrong with you?
Mm-hmm. But I like his reaction to that because he's also gives a little like, ugh. Oh man, this might be.
But maybe that helped prepare him. I don't know.
But I like this. I like this as a cold open for the movie. Because you immediately get some cool kung fu stuff.
Right.
So like you're drawn into like the selling point of the movie.
Right.
But also you get very little context for any of this, which I'm gonna contrast this once we get into meeting Wendy. So hold on I'm going to put a pin in that. Like we don't get a whole lot of setup into like, where is he going? What is his mission? What is this great evil? All that is just kind of like thrown at us with no real context.
Yes.
So then we meet Wendy. We cut to.
It zooms in, I think, on the picture of her, like the drawing of her on the scroll. And then she's drawing herself for, I guess, her homecoming posters. Or really just kind of doodling, like daydream doodling in history class.
Yeah.
And it cuts into it, like it cuts to that her drawing. The drawings cut.
Nice little fade in.
Yeah.
Nice little transition there.
Yes, thank you. The word that I could not think of in this moment. And then we meet her history teacher, who's asking her about the Northern Mountain Range in China, and she just kind of looks at him blankly for a minute.
Literally Saved by the Bell.
Very London Tipton-esque sort of scene.
Yes, that's kind of one of the other things that this movie I think uses to its advantage is that we know her as London.
Right.
At this point, and again, in 2006 at least, we knew her as London. So that's kind of your expectation going into it is that
she's the popular girl.
Is that she's going
and you
to
don't
be
question it.
She's going to be a ditzy idiot like London, and that's kind of the movie sets you up to expect her to be that. And it doesn't. I just don't think it necessarily strays super far from that, but it uses that expectation against you.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So we cut from that to back to Shen.
Yeah. We've got Shin's majestic ass scene where he's walking the highway trying to get to California, and he's like hitchhiking. He's waving at all the cars. The music here is actually beautiful.
It's gorgeous music.
Yeah, they have this just beautiful like Chinese like style music that's like. And
it's
the
got
scene itself,
like a reed instrument in there that's like doing the good like flute sounds.
Yeah, and it doesn't feel kitschy or
no
like parody.
No, it's very like serious like.
And a lot of that is matched by his acting too, because he's majestically
he's a stoic boy.
Yeah, he's walking like he looks like a lone monk on a mission, because that's what he is, and it plays it pretty much completely straight,
Yes.
like he's just, and the wind is blowing in his robes.
He clearly just got in from the airport.
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess
and he's walking down the road.
Now that I'm thinking, like, how did he get here? But
he hops on top, so he keeps trying to hail down just these cars,
Yeah.
as you would like hailing a taxi.
nobody stops.
No one stops because they're all going about their day.
He does this flash move. He does these whooshes. Yeah, and it's like
magically
materializes.
And he's magically sitting, meditative style on top of this service van.
Again, majestic shot as this car is just rolling down and he's propped up there. But then it's punchlined by a fly hitting his head, which is a great. That's funny. I think that's the two tones of this movie summed up in a single scene, where it's like, oh, you actually have like some pretty seriously treated majestic kung fu stuff that's like pretty cool, and then it's like, haha, funny
haha, funny slapstick
Yeah.
teenage stuff.
Exactly.
So you get the fly, and then that fades into. So the parallel fades to start this movie are really cool because it's like you already knew their destinies were aligned or whatever, but then you also get that visually.
Well, again,
in the way that you keep cutting in and out between the two of them.
It feels like this one was like properly storyboarded almost.
Oh, 100%.
Instead of kind of just shot like on a general fly type thing. Like this one feels, it's so deliberate.
Yes. So what we failed to mention was that in this school, she's beginning to campaign.
She's in the coolest cafeteria we've ever seen.
Right.
Because again, it's on a community college, I guess.
Her
Apparently.
friend's losing it because she's, broken up with or on a break. Something.
Oh, well, okay, so this is what I was going to say. When we are introduced to Wendy in the cafeteria and she's complaining to her friends. So we get no context with the monk stuff, right? Like Shin is just like, you're going on a mission.
Yeah, and you get something that looks like her though. You get the scroll.
That she gives him the scroll.
But that's it.
But he's dropping like Yanlo, whatever, all these stuff. We cut to Wendy who they give us all the context for with her friend. Be like, Wendy, you're so popular. You're almost homecoming queen, and you're dating a cute boy. Like she like her dialogue is straight up just like, here's what you need to know about Wendy. So like the subtlety, like you'll figure it out. The maturity of like Shin's cold open scene is so mature. Like that's a real movie. It's like you're gonna figure it out as you go. You're gonna be a good audience member. Pay attention, and you'll find out.
Right.
Wendy's introduction is like Disney Channel exposition out the ass. Like it's so.
And I think that speaks to what you were saying in the last episode about these movies training you to actually watch a real movie. Mm-hmm. Later on in life.
Yeah.
Or not that far down the road.
Right, but the Disney Channel elements are still here. It's definitely like a half and half kind of even split with this one. Where like, oh, sometimes it actually is a very good, mature learning experience type movie. And then the other half, it's like, Wendy, you're so cute and your life is perfect. I hope nothing ever upsets it.
And then you cut to the perfect boyfriend.
Right, yeah.
In the appearing in the cafeteria. Who is just Ken.
Austin, yeah.
No, he's just Ken. He's just Ken. And then we also meet her brother in the cafeteria.
Yes, well, before we meet her brother, we meet Jessica. The bitch Jessica.
Okay, watching this with you, watch Jessica, I so wish, especially since I was around for it, I wish you had this animosity for, like, well, we didn't really have a whole lot of, like, this animosity in high school either, but, like, I wish, like, in, like middle school.
Oh, yeah, right.
Like, I could have, like, met you then and known, like, how you would have handled, like...
Just a professional hater. You needed a professional hater at that point. Yeah. No.
Because the way that every time she was on screen, you were pissed.
She's so...
You were flipping the screen off, yelling at it, everything.
She sucks, dude. She's so... When Wendy really isn't that much better, but it's just Jessica... She's introduced, like, handing out cookies, like, vote for Jessica cookies.
They look awful.
Yeah. The whole premise of this, I think, is really... The homecoming aspect of it is hard for me to take seriously because I was not the type of dude in high school who just cared about those kinds of... I never attended a single dance. I never voted.
You didn't go to a single one?
I didn't go to anything. I did in middle school, but like those were... Middle school dances are a whole other
None
thing.
of the high school ones you went to?
Never went to prom. Never went to homecoming. I was like, I have 100 better things to do than this. So it's very hard for me to like invest in the stakes of like, I need to be homecoming queen. So she and Wendy both just come across as very silly in this motivation to me, but
I mean, it's a real thing. Like it was a hardcore thing. It's a very teenage girl struggle.
Sure, but I don't know.
Maybe it's just because you're a boy.
Maybe. Well, Austin's also very invested in becoming homecoming king. He's a little diva himself.
That is true.
But Jessica just takes it so far. She's so petty, so vindictive.
Oh yeah.
So hateable. So
So I've had other conversations, or I guess with you, about the passive aggressive animosity of girls. And this perfectly sums it up because the scene where they're like they are
it's
full
a watered
on
down
fighting.
Yeah, it's a watered down version of the realistic part of it, but it is.
It is, but it's like with smiles and especially in the
Yeah.
South, it's with smiles.
Oh yeah.
And oh, sweetie, and
Bless your heart.
yeah.
But it looks they come up to each other here, and she's like, oh, I can't believe you're running. I think that's so great. It's just like, oh, I might as well drop out now with you.
Since you're running,
It's like, bye. So.
and they keep that dynamic the whole movie.
Yeah, well, and I think that's kind of one of the marks against this. I said at the start of this, I don't like the villain in this very much, and while Jessica is a very fun, hateable character, she's not really the villain, but she's like a villain who gets hijacked by the real. We'll get to it, but she's
Jan Lowe is the real villain.
But she's a very flat character, Jessica, where she doesn't, even at the end, like she doesn't like change her ways or kind of like make any peace with Wendy. Really,
They do,
kind of, sorta, but like Jessica doesn't take anything from it.
giving because it doesn't mean anything to you.
Okay.
But giving away the homecoming crown is a big deal.
Sure. Well, I think
That's not something you give away.
that speaks more for Wendy than Jessica. Jessica still takes it from her.
That's true.
Jessica doesn't say like, "Oh, it's not important to me either." You know. So she never has any growth or development. She's just there to be the bitch, and that's fine. It works. It works for making you like Wendy. But as she is not a character. She's just an obstacle.
Yeah.
And that almost goes for everybody that isn't Wendy, Shin, and her family.
Right.
So.
But I mean she's the main character.
Yeah.
It's about their family. It's about their culture. It's about the dynasty or the legend that gets passed down every 90 years. So,
but we see her do her first little spooky kung fu action here, where Jessica gives her brother Peter a cookie, and Wendy like throws her lipstick and breaks the cookie in half, just like Shin had done in his first scene where he breaks a teacup.
and she sort of just goes, he's on a diet for football.
Yeah, this again.
But that's what you do. When you were in high school and you were different, or when you were in school really, and you were different, you explain away why you're different. You find a kitschy reason as to why it was different.
Yeah, this one we kind of talked about like the outcast trope in the last one, and this one kind of has the opposite fear of afraid of becoming different in the
100%.
outcast and stuff, which
100%.
is actually pretty good contrast, I guess, between
Right.
these two.
Right. But anyway, we cut back to Shin trying to find her.
Or she goes to visit her mom at the museum to
Yes.
complain about this whole thing.
Yes, there we go.
Which
That's how we get to the
I didn't remember this either, that her mom is a curator at this museum. She's got a big Chinese exhibit coming up.
Right.
And she's like, I don't actually know much about Chinese history, which I didn't remember this part. I really actually like this arc. Again, like this is a good heart of the movie type stuff where like even the parents are disconnected
Right.
from their culture. I didn't remember that.
Whilst the grandmother who told all the stories and stuff is living in the house. So it's not that, like, it was a very intentional losing of the culture to assimilate, I believe.
Yeah, the assimilation into like America, like white America type stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And so she's starting to complain about it a little bit. We see more of Wendy kicking things over accidentally and then
saving it. Yeah.
Saving it with some kung fu moves. But seemingly she is also confused as to how that's happening.
Right. It's like she has magic powers and she's not sure. It's very similar to Danny, where Danny's like, I don't know how this is happening, and now you see it.
Yeah.
It's that same kind of thing, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know how this is happening. So she is busy campaigning. As she's talking to her mom, she realized her mom talks about
The
Cupcake, the
Cupcake.
dog. And then that inspires Wendy to go home and bake cupcakes. And she gets her dad, an ad executive, to bake the cupcakes with her.
Yeah.
Grandma is sitting on the couch, ignoring everyone, watching her soaps. And that is where, like, for me,
It starts becoming very relatable.
very relatable immediately. And she's like, nope, I'm not cleaning. Like, you made the mess. It's your problem.
Yeah.
But she's making these cupcakes. She's with her dad.
Well, and her mom has a good little scene in between here where she goes to the grandma to ask her help for
That's
understanding all this Chinese history stuff. and like, oh, tell me some of your stories. Like, I don't know anything about this or whatever.
And her grandma's like, I already told you the stories.
Yeah, and her grandma has a good line here I wrote down because I think it's another good just themey line because her mom is like, oh, I just don't miss that stuff. Like I don't miss it like you do or something like that. And her grandma says, what does she say here?
Just because you don't miss it doesn't mean it isn't missing.
Yes, which is a beautiful.
And that hit hard. I'm not gonna lie to you. When I was first rewatching this, that hit hard because it was like, oh yeah. It's a very you've forgotten who you are type thing, which I also wrote above this or below this too, that like putting the fact that like, okay, the mom's a little disconnected from her heritage aside, she's still a professional museum curator. Yeah. So why aren't you reading up on this?
She should know stuff regardless. It doesn't matter if you're like culturally disconnected, like putting the theme of the movie aside,
right?
Like this is your job. You should be able to like, oh yeah, sure. I know some stuff. You don't know anything?
No.
Baby girl.
What we doing?
Get real. You need to be fired and replaced. If this is like, if you're asking like, tell me about my history. Like, I should ask you any question about any history and you should at least be able to tell me something.
Yeah. Or be like, spout off like a couple facts, be like, I don't know everything, but like,
yeah,
that's significant because of XYZ.
It's a little silly, but like it works for the thematic intent. So,
right. In the meantime, a delivery is made to the museum.
Yes.
In the form of a very ornate box that just gets put down in the mom's workspace downstairs. I assume the basement is what it seems like.
It's not a basement because we later see
just like a back room.
Yeah, it's like a back room because we see the same green glow coming on like the same floor that the guy's at.
True.
So this green glow starts happening, which you called this very. Oh, I forget what you referenced some movie when we watched this.
Oh, it's night at the museum.
Yes, that's what it was. Yeah, you were like, this is very night at the museum. Yeah, that's what it is. Because like, oh, the museum's coming to life and stuff. I thought it was very Ghostbusters.
Oh yeah.
It feels very early Ghostbusters, where like the
Green
villain
must have been very easy to put into CGI.
Maybe
because we see a lot of green in like Ghostbusters and things of this time period.
Well, it's a good like bad guy color. It works.
Yeah.
So this green, but then it gets also very Men in Black here for a second, where the green glow happens. The guy,
the security guy,
the security guard goes in there and he notices the green glow, and he's like, "I've got pepper spray," which is a line that came back to me as I was watching it. I was like, "Oh yeah, that was classic."
Which is not going to do anything for him.
No. And then Ghost rises out of the box, which is Yan Lo, who is our main villain, who is basically...
So the orb holds Yan Lo. Every 90 years, the orb comes to life and reanimates the terracotta warriors that were buried with Qin...
The Qin dynasty?
Basically the first emperor of the Qin dynasty. And then there is Mei... Oh, shit, I wrote it down. Mei Sun, who is the Yin warrior who also reanimates, and it's a woman, which very cool. Very cool. Very cool, especially for that time period.
Yeah.
We did not have a whole lot of girl power. We had girl bands. That's it.
Yeah, this isn't actually too... It doesn't pat itself on the back too much in a girl powery way where it's like, isn't it cool that she's a girl? It's like, no, it doesn't even really draw attention to that now that you say that.
No. Yeah. But and that's why it's taken seriously, I think.
Mm-hmm. There's no strong female character-ism to this movie.
Yeah, they don't say that that's what it is, but it is.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Right.
Because you have a very strong cast in the grandmother herself, who is, her name is Sai Chin. She is from what I can tell, the only actual Chinese actor in this. Mm-hmm. Everybody else is from somewhere else. Yeah. The brother is Korean, Shen's Japanese, Brenda Song's Thai, and then the parents are from elsewhere. But the Sai Chin is, I think I'm saying that right. I'm so sorry.
I think you're right.
She was a Bond girl.
Mm-hmm. Which that's the main thing we know her for over here.
Yeah.
But in China, she's huge.
She's huge. She's also very big into theater. Her acting credits are stupid long.
She was in Shang-Chi.
Yes, she was in Shang-Chi.
I don't remember who she was in Shang-Chi. I have to go back. I only saw that one once in theaters, but they did get her for that.
Yes, they got her for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as well. She was also Aunt Wu, for those who watched Avatar: The Last Airbender, the animated series. Oh. Not the new one. Just all over the board, just doing stuff. And very cool in general.
Yeah.
So anyhow, going back, she's also Christina Yang's mother in
Grays.
Gotcha.
Gotcha.
Which hated her as Christina Yang, but I hated Christina Yang's mother as a character, not her.
Right. Well, that means she's a good actress.
She's a great actress.
You know.
All right. So anyways.
So Ghost comes out of the box, out of the orb, possesses the security guard, tries to pepper spray it, doesn't work.
This is also this is the predecessor to the Loki possessions.
Oh, like in
the pre-colored
in the first Avengers.
Era.
Yeah. So we have green eyes happen. That's how we know he's the villain of these possessing somebody.
In the meantime, serendipitously, Wendy's brother, Peter, who we met earlier in the day, is delivering pizza, presumably as his like high school job or whatever.
He has a jacket that says, cool merch for a pizza thing that says like sliced or something like that.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's a subtle little costuming thing that he does. Yeah. So and this is where it gets very Men in Black to me, where like when remember I don't know if you see Men in Black, but where he's got the bug is like possessing the guy, is like in the guy's suit, and he's like, yeah, it's that whole thing.
Yes, the weird groans. This is also of the commercials that I've seen of Power Rangers, because I didn't watch them. All of their villains kind of did this thing.
Yeah. Mm.
So he's like,
it gets a picture of Wendy and mom, and is like, I'm looking for her.
Yeah, but we don't hear those words. It's just
no, but they can communicate it.
And Peter's like, yo, dude, it's like, and clearly he regularly delivers to this guy.
Yeah.
And he's like, you know her, that's my sister. And he's like, and then we get the transfer of the possession.
Yep.
I don't really know of Jan Lo's spirit
into Peter, which.
Terrifying. Like if that were like that's a moment where it could have turned into a horror movie for me, and I wouldn't have questioned it.
This is where I get really disappointed, is because Peter's actor sells this. He has the stoicism that same thing that Shin kind of has, where him possessed by Jan Lo, it is very scary. Whereas again, it's very Men in Black silly with the security guard. The second he goes into him, he's this silent but deadly assassin.
Yeah.
Type thing. And we get into the best scene of the movie here, where he goes to the house, or Shin knocks on the door first. Shin tries to get in with Wendy. Wendy's like, who are you? I don't want to, what is this? And they have another cute little quick fight scene.
She uses a broom, and she is also, again, disgusted and or surprised that she was able to do that. Very cool, though. Yeah. Also, she's making all of this noise. Presumably, nobody is asleep. They just went upstairs. Like, how are they not hearing
Well, yeah,
her?
and she doesn't like alert her parents and be like, "Hey, there's a weird guy downstairs who tried to fight me."
Like, why aren't you saying something?
She finishes cleaning and goes to sleep on the couch, and then we get the best scene of the movie where Peter or Jan Lo as Peter breaks into the house to try to suck.
Just walks in,
and again, it's very menacing. Like he's completely silent. He's not doing any weird bug grunts or anything, he's just there.
And at this point, she has fallen asleep on the couch, and Cupcake, who we have now met, is just chilling next to her.
Integral character, actually, more so than you think.
Yes.
But yeah, so she's sleeping. Jan Lo is standing over her. He's got his orb, and I guess he's sucking her soul. We never really learn what that orb is supposed to do.
It's supposed to. So the orb holds Jan Lo's spirit, like the majority of his spirit.
Yeah.
Because he's not fully reanimated. Like, I guess he's not full power till the full moon.
Sure.
And so the orb basically holds the majority of him. And from the rewatches of this, I've been able to kind of infer that it seems as though the green just wants to overtake she has the yellow soul color.
None of this is explained, is the thing. This is just
it
colors.
expects you to keep up. It expects you to keep up. So we're on the yellow team.
There's no point in it though. Is the thing is like, and I don't think there's no he should just kill her. Like there's no I don't know why he's sucking her soul. We don't know if that's doing his energy or whatever, or if he's draining her or what it is.
Well, he tries. He starts.
Whatever he's doing, he tries to start doing it.
And Shin is conveniently sitting outside because he's parked out in the garage area, the courtyard, meditating. But he clocks Peter as soon as he comes in.
Yes. So he does. So we get the best scene in the movie. Shin breaks in. There's some great wire work where he's like jumping up the thing, and it's classic kung fu movie shit where it's like inhuman movements.
Oh yeah.
That they make look super cool.
Yes.
He and Peter have this great fight scene that uses the space of their little California house beautifully. They're flipping over the stairs. They're flipping over the couch. Wendy's asleep this whole time.
Completely silent, by the way. They're not breaking things.
Yeah, they're throwing stuff, but like Shin's catching it before it can break to not wake anybody and whatever. The dog is following it, so there's a little bit of comedy there.
The dog is like watching a show, basically.
And then we get, and I love this too because they have like kind of dust, like action dust, or so. This is maybe like
I think it's just the dust from the shelves being moved around.
But it's a visual thing that they've clearly done to like make the hits have more impact visually. So like Shin gets like
very
slapped
creative.
or whatever, and it's probably a thing. I'm not a big kung fu movie person, but it feels like probably just an old like a style of that genre that they've thrown into this very effectively.
All of the Jackie Chan ones didn't have it.
I don't know. It works though, and just by adding like an element of weight to all these, because they're not really hitting each other because again, it's Disney. It can't get too violent. Person on person can't get too violent. Person on stone monster, as we get later on, can get pretty punchy.
You can do whatever you want.
Yeah, but
rules don't apply because it's not a real thing. It's not a real person.
Great bit where Shin or Yunlo like throws some goldfish at him, and Shin has to catch him and put him back in. So there's this. It's actiony. It's funny. It's cool. It's powerful. And Peter is scary here. Shin is badass here.
Badass too. Like
it's great stunt work. And I'm sure these guys probably did. I know at least Shin, I think his actor at least did most of his own stuff. I assume it's probably the same for Peter. I don't know. But either way, it's very cool. Best scene of the movie. And it ends with the ball. The orb is like kicked off and just kind of dematerializes. Yanlo goes into the dog and the dog runs off. And I think Shin leaves the medallion that protects her.
On top of her. Like laying on her.
Yes, this is awesome. This is like where like the movie truly starts, and this is where we will probably break.
Yeah. So we're pretty much set.
Yeah, from here, this is a strange thing because the movie does just kind of stop for a good long while after this point.
Yeah,
honestly.
Yeah.
So we'll be back to get into some shopping, some cappuccinos,
some blowouts.
Yep.
And blow ups.
Oh yeah. We'll be back. So why is it called Homecoming anyway?
Actually, I don't know. It's the homecoming game.
Right.
So
well, you know what? It actually has a very meaningful meaning for this movie because she is coming home to her culture.
Yes.
This one tracks.
Oh.
I put it together.
I didn't expect you to be this insightful. I wasn't prepared. I'm not gonna lie. Ooh.
So
okay.
We pick up with, what is it? The next morning.
The next morning, she's bitching to her mom about having the medallion placed on her. She's like, Peter's being weird. You know, Peter put this on me last night or whatever.
She sees a photo.
The funniest thing about this is that Peter wakes, like, when the spirit goes into the dog, Peter, like, gets up and is like, oh, cool, I'm home.
Cool. Yeah, Peter's great little side character here.
He's just a guy.
Yeah. A lot of Kens in this one. Now that we think about it.
There's a lot of Kens. So, anyways, she wakes up the next morning, finds a medallion on her,
sees a photo of like monks that have like made it into her mom's exhibit documents or whatever. Recognizes Shin among them.
Right, and she's like, don't they have ponytails? And she's like, no, all Buddhist monks, they shave their heads. Mm-hmm. And so then that becomes she's picked up by one of her. She has two friends in this movie who are basically identical. Again, like no one else in this movie is a real character other than them. I think it's Tori and Lisa are their names.
Tori's at least one of them. But they're great.
Tori and Lisa.
They all look straight out of like a 2000s JCPenney magazine.
Clueless comes to mind here.
Yeah. Shin yells at her from like the side of the road. He's like, Wendy, you must wear this. It will protect you from evil. And
he's like very serious.
He's very intense. And she's get me out of here. Great little mini chase sequence here. He hops on the bike, a scooter, a lot of scooter.
He steals some child's scooter.
Yeah.
From the neighborhood.
It gets very Back to the Future. He like hangs on to the back of their car.
Oh yeah.
You know,
popping wheelies.
Yep.
And then yeets himself off.
Yep, he just gets yeeted.
So, and then he talks to her at school.
Well, they have soccer practice. She does her soccer, where Jessica's also still a bitch here, where she like.
In the meantime, the spirit has moved. Okay, so it goes from the security guard to Peter to Cupcake to the principal.
Yeah, it possesses the principal somewhere in between here.
Yep.
Which this is the first thing that disappoints me, is like Peter's the only one of these guys who the spirit possesses that seems badass when it's possessed by him. Every other one is like the bug in Men in Black, where it's just like, it's goofy.
Yeah.
It's all these old men that it's possessing, and they're walking around like, I'm gonna get you. And like Peter's the only one that seems, which makes me feel like the villain is so disappointing in this, because it's just a thing. It has no character. It's like, it's just a great evil. But I'm imagining
they could have done more with it, and you could have really dipped into the lore of like the culture.
What I would have done is,
especially the Buddhist culture.
I would have
given
done
that you were using a Buddhist monk.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is what I would have done is have an evil monk who's like a counterpart to Shin, who is aiding, who is fully aware, who is like not possessed or anything, but is just conscious of their own. Of being a villain. Yeah. So you have a villain who is an actual character and can and maybe they like betrayed the order or something.
Right.
And so Shin kind of has his own villain along with Yan Lo, who's kind of Wendy's villain or something like that.
Right.
And maybe he's on an opposite mission to find a bitch for Yan Lo to possess or something, you know? I don't know. But it's like, you need a more human villain for interaction's sake.
But it's a Disney film, so we're not going to get a real one because everything got training wheels on it.
Yeah. Well, and even then, like as we're about to get into, the movie kind of gives up on a lot of this stuff here in a second, once we get into like the main cultural stuff and Shin and Wendy's relationship. Like that ends up being the bulk of the movie, which is another thing I did not remember.
Yes.
So they're at soccer. Jessica's being bitchy.
Which you immediately started hating on.
She's
you didn't
awful.
Have reasons to
well,
yet.
She just pulls up to Wendy and is just like.
I mean, let me not gaslight you. She has reason to. You have reason to hate her.
Every scene with her, she's just starting stuff, and I'm like, what is your deal? But Wendy shows her up with this cool bicycle spin kick thing, kicks it into her gut. Shin notices this and pulls her aside after practice and is like, you need to train. He gives her the lowdown on all this lore. And is like, you're a reincarnation of this ancient warrior. I'm also reincarnated 1,000 times to help you. We do this every 90 years.
Yeah, he's like, this is not new. You should know this.
He lays it down and
she's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You got the wrong person. Find somebody else.
Ditches her to go to the mall. To the mall.
She got a skirt that does not have a matching lipstick, you know.
Yep.
So as you do, you got to go to the mall. Well, she does say, what if I don't want to do this? And he says,
he's like, famine, death,
earthquakes, oceans rising, locusts, fires, drought, darkness. So basically,
I get it. It's bad.
The Egyptian plagues are coming for you, for the whole world, if you don't start training.
It's also vague compared to even something as simple as like the last movie where like Max just wants to steal Danny's power. It's all, which I think is the other thing that's just that.
It's too nebulous of an idea.
It's too nebulous of an idea. Yan Lo is too nebulous of a villain, and it's so nebulous that, as we're going to get into here, the movie just gives up on it pretty much until the last 15 minutes.
That's true. In the meantime, the spirit has moved from the principal to the history teacher to the janitor. Shin keeps
following her around
with a freaking amulet, talking about, well, you need to wear this thing to protect you from evil.
Kicks the principal's ass in the parking lot, you know.
And she's like, the only evil thing around here is probably like the principal.
And Jessica.
And he's like, you have no idea. You have no idea.
Yeah, and he's like warding everybody off with it like it's a crucifix.
Absolutely. Like holding it up to see if they start recognizing
this. This feels very 80s movie to me. It feels like that's how it felt to me. It's like, I don't know, like one of those movies where like a kid gets like a monster as a best friend, and the monster is like follow. I don't, I feel like I'm trying to
E.T.
Yeah, it's very E.T. or like Littlest Vampire or something like that, you know.
Oh, I see.
It has that element where it's just like there's a weird magical guy and I'm just a normal person and it's following me around and causing. I gotta hide you in my locker, Frankenstein, or I don't, It's
well,
weird.
that's true, because the whole time he's walking around as a monk.
Yeah, right.
Like,
which becomes a bit of a deal. So he's cramping her style, basically.
Well, she's running for homecoming queen. Mm-hmm. She has to look apart.
She's told everybody that he's her cousin, which is important because it gets a little icky with that premise in mind.
Oh, it definitely is icky.
Yeah.
Jessica actually becomes a real help to the plot by pointing out that Wendy has to have a C average in all of her subjects in school in order to do any extracurricular activities, which includes soccer and running for homecoming queen.
Yeah.
So and the one thing that she apparently is lacking in
is her world history course.
She's a D in it, I guess, is world history.
And
so
I like this. This is the one thing I actually liked a lot is and that I also didn't remember is like, okay, how do these two things intersect? How does the homecoming/school plot intersect with the gotta save the world from evil Chinese spirit plot?
Well, conveniently, the Chinese midterm is on Chinese history. Mm-hmm. So, who better than the monk who's been studying it for the last several lives?
Every reincarnation he's at.
Yeah, literally, and lived through it, I guess, in the carnation.
So they make
or
this
first
deal.
Carnation.
Yeah, they make this deal.
Carnation.
Incarnation. Carnation is a flower.
So I was like, I know that's a word.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And tarnation is an expletive. But yeah, so Shin is like, well, I'll teach you everything I know about Chinese history and stuff if you let me also teach you kung fu.
And you have to wear the amulet.
And you got to wear and she's like, all right, fine, deal. But I like this. I like this a lot because it's like, okay, like how are we going to? When is Shin going to become an ally here? When are these two sides of the story going to align? And these align perfectly with like I have to learn stuff in order to even qualify for homecoming. I think that's actually very smart.
Yes.
And now I don't like the delivery on this, and I'll get to it.
But that's you can like the concept and not like the execution.
No, but I do. I think they weave these two things together in a very smart way. At
Absolutely.
the very least,
conceptually, yes.
Yeah.
So the only thing that I wanted to mention pre her finally getting
Training
into wearing
montage?
it, pre that too, is Grandma knows. So we used to, to my family that might be listening to this, sorry, we used to call my grandmother.
Yeah.
My ghost of a grandmother, because she would just
Yes.
appear.
Yeah.
And very similarly, this grandmother appears.
Yeah, she's just in the background of things, or just yeah.
She's silently observing everything. She knows
She's got a spooky presence.
And so this was very funny to me, and this is why it's written down. So at some point in the fight to get Wendy to wear the amulet, Grandma picks it up, and Shin is like in the house looking for it or whatever, and she's like, "Are you looking for this?" And then she's like, "Is my daughter the Yin warrior?"
A warrior, yeah.
He says yes. First he's like, "I don't know what you're talking about. You're crazy." And then she's like, "I know." And he was like, "Oh yeah." And then she's like, "Don't you worry about this." I wrote down, "She be spying." But she's like, "Don't you worry about this." And you get this scene where very sweet scene where like while Wendy is sleeping, she ties the necklace back on.
Yeah.
And you mentioned while we were watching it.
I liked this scene up until she has a line.
Because you've got like a very like serene.
This ties too into the really great fight scene earlier with Shin and with possessed Peter. I liked that scene. There was no dialogue in that scene. Mm-hmm. Now, like if it was a Power Rangers scene, you know what I mean? It'd be like, "Oh, I'm gonna beat you," type. You know, I don't know.
True.
You'd have some like little or like even Marvel dialogue type, that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? You'd have that in there. The fact
America's ass.
That scene was very powerful because it did not.
I'm waiting for you to break.
I didn't process it, but they don't talk like that. That scene, like we're talking about earlier, where like the baby's first movie, basically with Disney Channels type stuff, where it expects you to keep up. Very challenging scene as a kid. To keep up with that fight scene because you have to follow the fight scene. There's no dialogue telling, now I'm going to do a kick. It's like, no, it just does the kick.
Right.
So similarly,
that's true.
We come around to the grandma scene where she gives the thing while she's sleeping. And her face, because again, this Sai Chen, real actress here. So she's everything that she is trying to communicate is just there on her face, that she loves Wendy, that she is like hoping for her success here, whatever, that she's proud that she's inherited this legacy and whatever. I know all of that. Mm-hmm. I can see all that on her face. I can see that in the way that she bends down and like.
But you know that as an adult.
Well, that's what I'm saying is that I think, again, this movie is elevated in a way that like a lot of these other ones aren't. That I hated that it ends with her saying like, "You will be a great warrior, Wendy," or whatever it is she says.
I like that she said that because not only for the not pandering, but for the training wheels that this movie is meant to have for its younger audience.
Yeah.
But also because of the elder who says it may not be you who lets us down. Like,
you think it communicates her faith?
I think because we already know from the very first opening scene of this movie that they're betting against her.
Yeah.
And they're not the only people doing so.
Mm-hmm.
And Shin is not even sure that she's going to rise to the task.
Right. Well, even later, and we'll get into it in a minute here, but even her dad later has a line where she's like, "I don't know if Wendy's going to get anything out of this."
Right.
Which is so you're right. A lot of characters are betting against her. Her grandma's one of the only ones that is. But I just,
as somebody who, my only person in my corner was my grandmother. Oh, geez. That's really powerful.
Yeah.
Because you just need that one person to believe in you.
Mm-hmm.
And in the same way that in the last one, I'm crying.
Yeah. Wendy Wu.
Wendy Wu.
Yeah.
In the same way that the last one was like, I'm alone,
Oh, yeah. This one actually feels that way to you.
It like, you see it communicated that, they believe she's alone and that and her grandmother's there through the whole thing.
Oh,
God damn.
Oh, that's crazy.
So, okay, we're good.
That's really sweet. I just don't think she needed the line there.
No.
But I see what you mean.
No, and she absolutely, as an actress, Sai Chin does a great job of communicating all of this in her face.
Yeah.
Communicating all of this in her body language, and communicating this even in the way that she's a ghost showing up all of the time.
Yeah.
Because you see her in many scenes just kind of in the background, just hanging out, observing, and
she's a presence. She's a presence in this.
Right.
But we get on with the training montage.
Right.
Which is he physically trains her first.
The terrible music for that one training scene.
Yes, I was going to say, because you had something to say about the music in that one.
Because to speak to the production of this, every other scene had great music to it, had great audio, had great visual.
Yeah.
And this one has decent visual. They're the beginning stages of training.
It's
and
funny.
You have this weird pop song.
Yeah, it's this very 2000s-y pop
song.
Like
soft rock song, honestly.
Yeah, they're in the park, they're training, and like any other cool, Chinese melody type music could have been playing here, and it would have been kind of...
You could have even had just a dramatic orchestra playing.
It's not treated particularly seriously because she's slapsticking throughout the scene, and it's kind of...
and shit.
Yeah, so it's kind of... You could have... I don't know. You could have treated it maybe a little more seriously. But the reason I want to talk to that is we get to her, then she's like, well, how do I need to... I still need to learn history.
Right.
Like, she's like, okay, I've done the Kung Fu stuff. I'm on board with all that. We've done all that. We've training montage that. I still need to know history, dude. And he's like, oh, well, you don't need your books to do that. You can just meditate and remember all of your past lives.
Yeah.
Which is like... And she's like, okay, all I got to do is meditate? And he's like, yeah. Which we don't really see her trained to do that. So, but we have the little montage too of her, which is very funny, of her meditating in random places just throughout the school, which is funny. But as they're having that dialogue where he's like, you to reach into your past lives and remember everything that you've lived before and stuff, basically.
Yeah.
Which is, again, like kind of culturally and spiritually, like a very cool concept that permeates a lot of different cultures.
Yeah, we kind of breeze past it though.
Yeah, well, yeah, it just cuts to her winning the damn test.
Yeah, we don't even she's
just passing it. She comes out of the room, she's like, I passed, and that's it. I'm like, we don't see a cool... I thought for sure, because I haven't seen this in a long time, I thought for sure we'd get a cool flashback to her throughout the ages, even if it was just bad Disney Channel CGI, of just Brenda Song playing every version of this you could have done that with the Om scenes, the meditation scenes,
it cuts from
her in that era,
and then you keep going back
and it
in
transitions. Yeah, like there's a cool version of that where at least I don't expect us to like stay in ancient China for like 15 minutes or whatever the hell.
It was really only 30 seconds.
But like you could have done some kind of set or
Absolutely.
some kind of like green screen back.
Well, because you already had the temple set up in the first scene.
Yeah. So that felt weird to me. And I thought too, I think the ramifications for that of like, okay, let me go experience 1,000 years worth of my past lives is a bit heavy of a concept to throw on like a teenage girl in a Disney Channel movie. If it was a Marvel movie, it's like a Shang-Chi type thing, like we would have seen that kind of stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
We do with Shang-Chi.
But that's a big concept. That's a big brain concept for a kids movie that like I didn't notice, and I noticed this time, and I was like, oh, but there's a way to communicate it.
But this movie also predates a lot of those concepts being actually visually executed.
Yeah, well, in the modern age, anyway, I'm sure.
Because this is still 2006. Like CGI is rough. Even we barely have computers.
Right. Well, yeah, as I understand it, most of your classic kung fu movies are like period pieces set in those ancient periods, or your samurai movies and stuff. So there's no like going back to your past lives in those. But yeah, heavy concept, very cool concept. They don't execute it at all.
No.
And there's a way they could have in a kids movie that still would have translated.
Yeah.
And I find it very strange they chose not to.
Absolutely.
So
anyways,
just one of my critiques.
So then after the test is won,
then I think he's invited into the house and all that stuff.
We have the history. We have the dinner where mom and dad sort of remember who they are, remember how they were raised.
And this scene this is a long scene in the movie.
It's a very long scene. It was very uncomfy.
Well, it's longer than average, I mean, though. Like it really sits with you because I think this is kind of like the message, the theme, most themey scene in the movie.
You have the brother for comedic relief, kind of, with his like football stuff.
Yeah, well, and Brenda doesn't want him hanging out either.
No,
she's like, "Get out of here, Shen. I don't need you to know one of my family."
Yeah,
and the grandmother too is also selling the idea that she's her like grandnephew twice removed on my cousin's side,
something or other.
Yeah. But they bring out the moon cakes, which is like this very.
So looked it up. It is a pastry. So it's like a puff pastry almost with a red bean paste in the. Like as the filling.
Okay.
You've had mochi. Well, I've had mochi, and we've had, as a group, have had mochi, and you probably did not partake.
No. No memory.
It seems to be similar to that, where it's like a sweetened red bean filling. So, anyways,
the dad does not partake.
The dad does
kind
not
of
take it.
The thing is he gets emotional and like leaves.
But he like as men of this time period do. He stoically gets emotional. All you see is kind of him just like quietly storm off. And you're like, what's his fucking problem?
It's very left field because he's been kind of a comic relief bumbly dad up until this point. So,
yes.
Yeah, it's very strange.
Because he's usually the jovial one. The mom is the one who's like, what are we doing? Like,
yeah, we get a fun scene after this of like Shin and the brother teaching him kung fu moves. That's like, it's cute. It's fun. Mm-hmm. We kind of get... It's more or less our first scene of like Shin kind of coming out of his shell and like acclimating to being a real teenager, which is then capped off by Wendy taking him to the mall.
Yes.
We get another great 2000s fashion montage.
Yep, shopping montage with all of the possible looks of the time.
Well, because she's...
It's very informational, actually.
Right. Well, and this is strategic on Wendy's part because her friends are calling her and being like, Shin's a weird dude hanging out with you. And she's like, I don't care. We get into the where she develops a little bit where she's like, I don't care what he looks like. Whatever. You're like, why does it matter?
Why does it matter?
Yeah. Like Homecoming starts to mean a little less to her.
Yeah.
But she still takes the time to be like, well, he can look cool. Let me go make him look cool.
Yeah.
And he does. He looks cool, man. So he comes into school the next day.
Yeah. So you get so usually for these 2000s and late 90s too, for the makeover movies.
We got the makeover that we didn't get last movie. We talked about last movie where like Danny's suddenly cool, but it's like an overnight thing.
Yeah.
This time it's actually built. You have a setup for it.
Yes, and very ahead of the time period, I think, for the dude to be the one getting the makeover, which is kind of cool because usually it's the girl getting the blowout.
I think it happens in Legally Blonde, but that might just be the musical.
Well,
I know there's a song in the musical version of Legally Blonde.
There's like She's All That, where she gets the makeover. You know, like it's various different ones where the girl gets the makeover. She's a Princess Diaries.
Yeah.
You know,
classic example.
Right.
Yeah.
So like this one, he gets the blowout, and honestly, if you want a good makeover, just get a blowout.
Great hair.
And as New Girl will tell you, the blowout will take you to certain places, and you may end up in strangers' beds. That's for the adults, though. That's for the adults.
This movie gets a little steamy here, though.
It's
in a moment.
Weird.
Yeah, it's a little strange.
So he comes back with his little blowout, really cool, and then they go to a party. First he has his big reveal at school, because we don't even get the reveal during the makeover montage.
Yeah, she's talking to like her boyfriend, and like he's just Ken. And then,
but he's being a little bitchy Ken, honestly, and he's wanting everything to his Mojo Casa house.
Yeah,
Mojo Dojo
Casa house.
There we
you
go.
Yep.
Those are all the syllables.
Yeah.
And he's being a little bitch about it, and she's like, so she's starting to get like the flags. She's finally starting to see the flags of him, which she'd also previously talked to Shin about, the boyfriend kind of saying,
yeah, they have
he's
a
like, why are
scene-
you with him then? And she's like, well, we kind of just like look good together. That's
right.
it.
Another scene of them two on the rooftop where they're talking before all this, and that sits nicely. Like this movie takes its time, maybe a little too much.
Yeah.
In the middle here, to sit and kind of stay with these characters, which I like. I think
It's fully developed. As far as characters are concerned, you know who you're talking to.
in the modern era of filmmaking, like we move from scene to scene so quickly. Like when I'm thinking of like the Marvel movies and type stuff, which we love those, but those are very like we got to get going basically.
There's a sense of urgency.
There's a sense of urgency. This one is like
Technically there should be, because we got to save the world.
There should be, but it's like the battle is like on a schedule.
Yeah.
So it's like we basically have
It's
like
not coming to the next full moon, and we don't know when that is.
We got a 2-week vacation here. We can kind of just like hang out with these characters, which is kind of nice. I actually do kind of like that, but in the context of like the stakes, it's very strange. But anyway, I like this scene. They're on the roof. They're talking. This is also where we learn that Shin is like destined to die.
Yes.
Or perish, because we can't say die in a Disney movie.
Right.
He's destined to perish in the battle. In the battle.
And he has been doing so for the last 100 lives or so.
Yeah. And he talks about her great grandmother, and it's like, oh, she doubted her or whatever, you know. So he's done the two of them.
And we also find out that the last Yin warrior was her grandmother's mother. So her great grandmother.
So good little lore here, and I like the movie takes the time to really sell these twos, and they have great chemistry, Brenda Song and Shin Koyamada. Yeah, like I love them together. Like they really, and it is just because the movie takes the time to spend with them.
Right.
Which, you know, I think it works.
Right. So then,
but they go to a party.
They go to a party afterwards, and it's weird because
a New Zealand girl, we think anyway. She has an accent.
The reason for this is that a lot of
the extras,
Long Bay College, the Auckland Community College.
Auckland.
Say it however you want.
Yep.
No, it is Long Bay College. They were used as extras so she's probably one of those.
Yeah.
Which is why, because we don't have an explanation for this accent other than this filming location thing.
It's like we've established ourselves as being California. This girl with an accent shows up, and it's like, oh, okay.
She just came up to surf.
Yeah. And she does. She serves, man. So she dances with him, and they're both like throwing it down pretty impressively.
I mean, she matches his weird.
But there's a thing where Wendy is like, oh, we're actually together. And she's like, I thought he was your cousin.
Yeah, and then it's like,
oh yeah.
Do you get this good of an accent from Bluey? Is that where this is from?
No, but kids these days are definitely, between Peppa Pig and Bluey, the children, Jin, Beta, or whatever it's going to be, are they're all going to be talking like this. They are.
Can you whistle?
Just put your lips together and blow. Yeah. Peppa, number one hater. Professional hater, Peppa the Pig. We love her.
Big fan.
Yeah.
So anyways, we see her kind of jealously look off from the sidelines.
Yeah, she breaks up with her boyfriend in this moment, which is she throws like Shin's line of like, "It sounds like you're living in an illusion of love," and he's like, "Isn't this just an illusion of love?" Which,
and he's like, "What does that mean?"
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like, what is this Disney Channel dialogue you're saying? Are we breaking up? Is that what's going on?
And she's like, "Yeah, actually,
I guess we are. Yeah.
But then
one of her friends gets possessed.
So this has been something. This is weird because the last person that I'm showing that was possessed, from what I was tracking, was the janitor.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if it goes back into the dog or what, but somehow her good friend Tori, gets possessed.
Which I think is another criticism, is that the movie just drops the Yan Lo stuff. It's like, it's so unconcerned with that until you can feel the screenwriter being like,
oh shit, I
forgot. we gotta like get back to that. I was having so much fun with the dance party and the teen drama, and like her fall in love with this monk. Fuck. All right. Well, her friend shows up and is possessed.
Yeah.
It feels so defaulted.
Yeah. So then the friend shows up, is possessed. Shin yeets her into the pool.
Another great scene, another great line that came back to me when her brother jumps in. He's like, "This is the best hot tub ever."
Yeah, because the orb also goes in with
like
her.
Ignites the orb just manifests and demanifests.
Yeah, it disappears at will.
The rules are so unexplained in this movie, and maybe that's fine. They don't need to be, but it is very just like at the will of the script.
But this is the part where it's important, because as Wendy and Shin are like, "Oh, we should probably get back to training," and he was like, "You think?" So they yeet themselves out.
But in between this, I wanted to talk about this scene too. There's some point in between these where the mom and the dad have a nice little scene together, and she's like, "What was going on yesterday with the moon?" He's like downstairs eating the moon pie by himself.
Mooncake. Very different thing. We're not in New Orleans. Very different thing.
Yeah, different thing. Sorry. But he's eating those by himself. And he's like, "This is great." And she's like, "What happened earlier?"
She's like, "Share a bite." And he was like, "No."
But she goes, "Why'd you leave earlier?" And he's like, "I just, it suddenly hit me how disconnected I am from whatever, from my culture and my history, whatever." And he's like, "I want us to be a real Chinese American family," which the movie doesn't need to do this, is the thing. Because Wendy should be enough, because you think she's the protagonist, she's the one that really needs to be reconnecting with her culture.
But you still need to affirm. No, you don't need to, but it's nice to affirm the plight of the.
Yes, well, that's what I'm saying, is that the movie shouldn't, like, there's a version of this where it's just Wendy's problem.
Right.
I think it is inspired that it's a problem the parents have as well.
Yeah, so
that is
assimilated parents as well.
Yeah, that is so interesting. And like even the scene in the movie, and even the dad's little side conflict here, like you could write that out pretty easily. But I think it's, I don't want to say brave, but interesting, and that they do allow, they add depth that that you don't need for a Disney Channel movie.
Yeah.
But which again is kind of goes, but like the kung fu stuff is just kind of left by the wayside, I think, in the end, comparatively. But I think the cultural elements of this.
Yeah, because it's all about grandma.
It's all about her. It's all about rediscovering your Chinese heritage and everything. So I like that. I like that scene a lot, because I think it adds something that is not, you wouldn't think is necessary, but is actually very impactful.
Well, and this is also where you get the scene where you realize that the dad is also not thinking that, not really rooting for Wendy either, because
he has the line.
He thinks of her as just like as an airhead.
Right. He's like, it's cool that Peter's like learning a football move. It's cool that like
you got your museum stuff, and
my mom's has found someone that like knows what she's talking about, and I just worry that meanwhile Wendy's the one that should anyway be getting the most out of it, and she is, but he is not in the. It's a little. He's not involved in it. Yeah, it's weird. Her parents never do become kind of in the know,
which is kind of crazy.
That's just all kept. It's strange. It's weird. That's the weird choice of this whole thing, is that they. Presumably in the movie thinking like, oh, I don't know, she won Homecoming.
Right.
End of story as far as they're concerned.
Yeah, because like he's very concerned with her Homecoming pictures on the staircase, which was...
And that's the last scene they have.
That's classic Homecoming pictures too, is like the pictures on in the living room.
She doesn't have a date though, and that's bold.
Yeah, well she does ask Shin, but he's supposed to die.
Oh, right, yes. So, but before that, coming back to training. So they resume training. They're at the end of the training stage. We get to the other scene that I really remembered, which is her teacher's becoming possessed by like the spirits of the 4 animals.
Oh yeah. So it's the tiger, the snake, the leopard, and the crane are in the box that came with Shin.
Shin is the dragon.
Shin is the dragon. He has this cool henna type tattoo.
He's tatted out.
Yeah.
He's sleeveless in this one too.
Does that do it for you?
I'm sure it did it for a lot of young ladies in 2006.
Listen, we weren't into shoulders the way that you gentlemen were in school.
But he's a fit guy. I'm just saying, like, Brenda's cute in this too. Let's be like, we already talked about her hair is on point in this one. Her makeup is super pretty.
No, she's
also
pretty.
she's like in workout gear for a lot of this too. Like, she's looking great.
She's in the classic like Mean Girls era, like juicy sweatsuits, but we're not calling them the juicy sweatsuits because we can't promote them.
Well, and she also wears those pretty well in New Girl. Not quite as well as Winston does. If you remember that episode.
I forgot about that. She also shows up in Scandal. Brenda's song just has range. She's fun. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so her teachers, which is you mentioned this, it's weird that her soccer coach is the snake when the leopard specifically uses soccer balls to train her. But I think that has more to do with the fact that you have, because her soccer coach is the first teacher summoned.
Yeah, they get the soccer coach as the snake. They get
the history teacher is the tiger.
Yeah.
The weird PDA dude as the crane. And then I believe the principal as the leopard. I
can't tell if he is the principal.
He might have just been like a guidance counselor or something.
He looks similar at least.
Some random teacher.
Yeah.
But you mentioned that. This came out in 2006. 2 years later, 2008, Kung Fu Panda comes out. And I think... and this to me feels like the predecessor to the difference in training where different people respond to different kinds of teaching.
Right.
Teaching methods. And so like where in Kung Fu Panda, you have to do... Everything is food-based. When Master Shifu finally figures out that
that's what he responds to.
If the cookies are on the top shelf, the fool will fucking do a split at the top of the top shelf for the cookies.
Right.
And the dumplings. But you have the same sort of interaction with Shen and the soccer coach because the soccer coach as the monk.
Oh, they throw her phone up there. They're like,
she's like, we have to do less conventional methods with this one.
I would have liked more of that. Now that you're saying that, is that I would have liked more like, okay, like let's high school girlify her training more.
Right.
And they play with it in this scene.
Yes.
But they don't.
But this walks so that Kung Fu Panda can run.
Sure. Well, I think that's...
I don't know that that's a direct correlation, and I don't think it is.
I think it's a trope across a lot of these, like, just you got to train type movies, like movies that require training. I think it's pretty...
But it's also, if you want to go deeper, it's inclusive as well for, kids in school...
who
responding
require,
to different because some kids learn tactilely, some kids learn visually, some kids learn auditorily. Like it's different things for different folks. That I'm not going to say the actual thing.
Different strokes.
I didn't want to. I think that was very important, even though it's not necessarily. And again, this movie does this with the deep things where it just kind of it's here it is. I don't know if it expects you, but it kind of gives you a little bit of deeper thing if you want it.
I agree with that. I have another little training montage here where like she does a different... Well, and this is important later because like the moves she learns here, she does use in the final fight. So we see her do like the snake thing up the lamppost to get her phone. We see her dodge all these balls. We see...
speed is relative for that one.
And this is I remember liking the scene as a kid because it's like... We're kind of back to fighting again.
Yes.
We're back to the kung fu part of it.
Yes.
Which... Again, it's like there's a big chunk of this movie in the middle where like nothing kind of happens except like people are good conversational
scenes.
Teens
are being kids.
Yeah, teens are being kids, parents are being parents, families are being families. It's good stuff, but it's like, okay, let's get back to fucking fighting, please. Nothing has topped the Shin v Peter fight yet. Even though this has like more combatants in it.
No, sheer talent and sheer like moves alone.
I think you can tell too, like it's cool that they got these teacher actors to like do this. I think that's unique and it's special. And I like the concept of kind of like what you're saying. We're like, okay, well, she's going to respond better to fighting one of her teachers than a random monk. Like that's interesting. Like that. it's a little bit of comedy to see like the the chubby guidance counselor or whatever like balancing on the on the fence, like, you know, so it works. But like I don't think these actors are trained in kung fu and taekwondo the way that like Shin Koimata is, you know.
Yeah.
So
yeah, absolutely.
And you can probably tell watching this, but you know, conceptually it works, but it's not nearly as cool fight scene. Now Brenda Song on the other hand,
cool as hell. Now, so she then gets them. So she ends it by basically making them sit on a park bench, all 5 of them, which includes Shen because he's the dragon.
Yep.
And so this was the part that I was like, huh, because she and Shen yeet off to go get cappuccinos, and we just leave the possessed teachers chilling.
And they stay like that for a minute, as we'll find out.
And additionally, we see Grandma in the park with a newspaper spying. And that, you said this as we were watching it, it could have been sinister. It could have been...
I thought it was going to be like
it could have been Yan Lo, whoever that is,
right.
watching and monitoring her progress and seeing if she's, you know, there yet.
I almost think it should have been.
It should have been, especially because in that particular scene, she gives back the dragon amulet to Shin and says,
like, I don't need this anymore.
I don't need this anymore. And so that would have been a great thing. But I like, for sentimental reasons, I like that the grandmother was watching. But again, for production, though, that could have been so much better. That could have been Jessica, who is the last person that we know has been possessed.
Yes, because I don't think we mentioned that is when she goes to take a picture when one of her friends falls in the pool.
When Tori falls in the pool.
Yeah, she gets, which is actually...
No, it's a bitch move because she's doing it for the yearbook.
She's like, this will look great for the yearbook.
And she has, and to date this time period, she has a digital camera with the teeny tiny screen that we were all expected to somehow see our pictures that were going to be in 8 megapixel resolution. Got
a lot of Disney World photos on those type of ones. You know?
Yeah, he definitely did.
But this is a cool effect when Yan Lo's little face comes through this. It's very Ghostbusters again, but it comes through the screen and possesses her, which is I almost would have liked it if he kind of had a thing he can only possess through mirrors. He can only possess through. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. It's just.
But again, we don't have rules for this.
No, it just goes by whatever works at the time.
Other than 90 years.
But you're right. If that was Jessica in the park looking at her, that would have been more sinister. Or even if they kind of do this where Yan Lo is stalking her throughout the school as her teachers every now and then.
Yeah, so we've already had the trope.
So he's there. He's lurking. Yeah, but it's not nearly as sinister again, just as Peter pulling up that first time.
Right. So
it never gets back to that point.
Yeah.
But so they're talking, they're getting cappuccinos. And she's like, so when is this battle going to be? And he's like, oh, it's a few days. And she's like, well, how soon is that? Do you mean, it's the autumn moon, which is homecoming?
Yep.
But so she's real pissed at this.
Because he lied.
He lied. You didn't tell me. Or he's like, monks don't lie. No, they just don't tell the truth.
And then you get the ethical debate of is withholding information telling a lie?
Right. Which... this is so, again, the stakes of this are so much bigger than Homecoming to me, which at this point, my ambivalence about what Homecoming is as a concept aside, famine, locusts, plagues, sweetheart, this is not
the world
is
depending on you.
Yeah.
And you want to go to Homecoming.
Okay. But I don't know that I like this, but I think it's very funny and dramatic. Because then she's in her bedroom and she's getting ready, and Grandma comes in, gives her her mother's dress,
fighting outfit,
which looks badass as we see later.
Yeah,
she's like, I'm going to Homecoming. That's just what I don't want to be the warrior.
Nobody asked me.
But then she's monologuing to herself. She's like, who cares if the world becomes evil? The world's already evil. Right.
Well, but also in the meantime, another grandmother point. I swear I won't cry. She guilts her with you're my granddaughter and I love you no matter what you do. Mm-hmm. And I support your decisions. That's such shit.
Just a guilty,
Yeah.
She doesn't say I'm disappointed.
Nope.
But she
says she's disappointed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which, again, subtleties of the female language.
Well, subtleties of just the story of the script here is
That
like,
too.
again, it's like this one has, I think, a little bit of more outside of like the initial, like, Wendy, you're popular and you have a cute boyfriend and you're almost homecoming queen. Outside of like that type of dialogue here and there. When it comes to Sai Chen's scene, is like the subtlety, it's reeled back in. It's reeled back into being a little more real movie-esque.
Well, and I think that's more to her than anything else.
Most definitely. But I love her, the world's already evil, which is such a teen thing.
It is 2006. The housing market has not crashed
Yeah,
yet. Not shit ain't evil yet, boo.
Yeah, this is so funny watching now where it's just, you look out your window and Australia's on fire or something.
You haven't had the crazy shit that happened in 2012.
It's going to get...
You have not had... You haven't done anything.
It really feels like we're living in the reality where she did just go to homecoming.
Yes, we are.
That's what she went to do.
Because we got the fires, we got the famine, we got the tsunamis, the earthquakes, the oceans rising.
Locusts scheduled
the
3
drought,
months from now. Yeah.
The record drought in the cornfields last year.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway,
yeah,
it's fine.
Damn you, Wendy Wu.
Where were you? Wendy Wu's fault. She goes. Her parents are taking pictures.
Yep. We see Shen. So we cut to Shen, who is soloing the Terracotta Warriors come to life. And Jessica is possessed. This is the other great Power Rangers scene. Jessica's outside of the museum. Lightning is striking. It's super dark. She's got like this like navy blue gray dress on, and she's like, "Arise, my warriors of darkness!" And like lightning strikes.
And then there's like a time lapse of the sky that goes past.
It's bad.
Crazy.
It's bad looking.
It's crazy.
It's very silly.
It's so because it's her. It's this blonde.
It's the complete
bitch.
opposite. Even though we hate Jessica, Jessica's such a bitch. She has no menace to her. She has no threat to her physically.
No, she's just a girl.
I get what they're going for, that it's funny. It's like, oh, you fight your rival. Like, that's funny. The movie isn't funny at this point.
No, it's serious.
Yeah, it's taking itself really...
The end of the world is near.
Yeah, so, again, I think it should have stayed with Peter. I think that is so much more dramatic. She has to fight her brother, free her brother from this thing's spirit.
Oh, yeah.
Makes him a more interesting character where, like, he's fighting... from the inside, or maybe
because then you have it where it's like a brother and sister reincarnate every so many years.
Maybe you even make it a thing where he's jealous that she's this ancient warrior that gets to do all this cool stuff, and so he is almost a willing participant in it. He's like, I'm doing this so I can be as powerful as you are, and you don't even appreciate it.
Like Edmund in
like Narnia. Yeah, exactly. Yes, great example actually of that dynamic. Yeah, so and he's a better actor. When he was all spooky.
Yeah.
So, like, man, like, Jessica, I hate her as a character. And I hate that she is the final boss here because, geez, she sucks.
Well, she's not the final boss. But
no,
she's
I
the
guess
first
not.
final boss.
But yeah, but like the final...
she's stage 1 of the final boss.
Possessee of Yan Lo here, so...
Yeah, there's definitely a video game based on this final fight.
Oh, like a Nintendo DS game or something, probably. Yeah. But so Shin's soloing the Terracotta Warriors who are like brought to life and stuff, and he can actually punch them now. He's allowed to because they're just stone and not people. He gets stomped basically.
As he's getting stomped, she's leaving for the homecoming dance or crowning.
Oh, and all her teachers show up, and she's like, "Are you teachers or monks?" Monks.
Yeah, they don't say anything. She's like, monks.
Monks.
She's like, sorry, I'm going to homecoming. Like that's what it is. And one of the monks speaks up and is like, yo, dude, like he's already like, she's like, tell Shen sorry, I'll catch him in like a couple of days or something on the next one.
There won't be a next time.
And they're like, they won't be a next time. He's already gone. She's like, alone? And then it kicks in. Oh, he meant it when he said he was gonna die. Like it was not a euphemism.
Yeah, well, the whole thing isn't a euphemism. This is where it's just so silly to me that she, like, the stakes of homecoming versus this are so silly.
Yeah.
And it's like, what do you, like, yeah, he already told you he is going to die doing this no matter what, whether you're there or not, he's going to die.
Right.
So he, A, like, by destiny does not stand a chance. B, who gives a shit about your damn crown? Get down there.
Yep.
Which she does eventually, but only because Shin's in danger, which works in the sense that it's like she's doing it for a person, not just because it's destiny.
Right.
And that's important, I guess.
Yeah, because she was already bitching about Destiny not asking her if she wanted to be a part of the Destiny.
Mm-hmm.
So she shows up and then she gets there and she's like, oh, it's her? It's Jessica? Why? Y'all should have told me that. I've been here yesterday.
No, that's funny.
Which, yeah, they really should have. They really should have told you that Jessica's a lot.
Yeah.
And especially if you did it with the fight scene, going back to the grandma being the one spying in the fight scene or the training scene in the park. Yeah, if it was Jessica and we had some sort of inkling that it was Jessica pre-thing.
So someone could have told her.
There's no conflict of her going to homecoming.
No one to beat.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Interesting. So they have a fight scene here. It's okay. She and the teacher, she calls out to the teacher. She's like, "You guys gonna do anything?" She's like, "Oh yeah, I guess we'll fight too."
Well, so the lighting, for production on this.
We did not like this.
One, why are we back in the frickin'... Well, the one thing I want to call out is the security guard comes back with his pepper spray.
Yeah.
Sees the terracotta warriors chanting in a circle.
Yeah, and low. Yeah, and low.
Hardcore around Jessica. And he's like, yeah, I'm out.
Great.
He's like, nah.
Very modern, very modern horror movie. Yeah, I'm not doing this.
He's like, I don't get paid enough for this shit. Bye.
Yeah. But this, the setting for we keep going back to the Peter V. Shen scene because that was
It's the best one.
great use of the space.
You've convinced me. It is the best one. I didn't disagree, but I didn't fully agree.
Yeah.
Now I'm there. I'm there.
The space of their house, which is just an interesting layout. They're flipping over the table. They're flipping over the couch. There's the added drama of we can't wake Wendy up, so everything's silent. There's no dialogue.
And there's the dog in the middle somewhere, just kind of watching.
Yeah.
The volley.
There's no magical effects or it feels.
It's just a pure fight.
It's just a pure. There's some of the exaggerated kung fu elements, kung fu movie type elements in there, but it's still very. There's no Dragon Ball Z. Zing it or anything or power not really a whole lot of Power Rangersing of it.
Right.
But this one, the setting is awful. It's called Wendy Wu Homecoming Warrior.
Should we not have fought on the homecoming
at
field?
homecoming? Go to the field. Go to the
football
dance.
field.
I saw that's a criticism too that I saw recently of Spider-Man Homecoming is why isn't the climax at the dance?
Oh.
Why didn't they not write the movie to end there? Instead they end he's fighting Vulture on the plane and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Same kind of thing here where it's why are we fighting? Why is Yen I get he has to go get the soldiers.
It's in the title. You put it in the title.
Just make the terracotta guys walk to the field.
Right.
And invade
Jessica has to get to homecoming too.
Make it so she's about to be crowned and they bust through the stadium.
True.
And start
That's definitely more interesting.
It's so obvious. It feels why, and it maybe it feels almost like a budget thing where it's
well, it definitely was because they were using the extras from the local community college.
Yeah,
so
it's they could not find a better place to stage this other than the base, not really a basement, but whatever of the museum,
the back room,
which it's not lit. I was saying it would be cool if maybe it was at least lit kind of green around the whole things to he's possessed the whole room or something.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe even if they did some poltergeist shit where the other artifacts
start coming
to life. Yeah.
Yeah, Buddha sitting there chilling
and flying around the room.
Because you do see a Buddha statue sitting there.
Idol or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this and Jessica's costuming here kind of blends into the background because it's gray and the whole room is gray too.
It's poorly lit.
You can't really follow.
We, as a general rule to movies, can we just get just backlight it and don't explain to me how it's backlit? Just light it.
There's a great
so I can fucking see shit.
There's a great quote that's someone's where's the lighting coming from in the movie? The same place the music is coming from.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Your fucking
it's
business.
just it's a movie. It is part of the.
It's part of the movie
experience.
magic.
Bring back.
Do you want to see or do you not?
Yeah, I hate this modern. There's probably gonna be plenty of movies we cover where they're just lit awfully in this modern way where you can't see anything. But bring back blue night. Yeah. Bring back nice blue lighting for night. That tells me it's night. I get it. I don't care.
Unless it is a theme of the movie that the darkness is an entity that you are using as a character, as a device.
Yeah.
Why is it fucking dark?
Yeah. And this isn't as bad as that because like this is before that became the trend.
Yeah,
but
so it's still but it's so dimly lit, you still struggle.
Yeah, it's just an uninspired setting.
But you do get
climax.
To call back to Peter's scene. You do get the dust with the kicks again.
Yes, we get all the dust, which like at least and these things are being like thrown across the room and like landing in crates and stuff, and these breakaway crates and shelves.
Yeah, but we're destroying all the museum artifacts.
Yeah, there's a bit of a like
that the Chinese government has sent us on loan.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, the famously forgiving Chinese government.
Right, like what are we doing?
So the big risk factor in setting this in the little warehouse here, but anyways, they have a fight here. It's not a particularly like. Brenda Song is great in it. You know, like she's actually doing these moves and Shin is really doing these moves and who knows what the teachers are doing. And it gets very Power Rangers-y here where it's like, it's people fighting guys in rubber suits type stuff, which is like, okay. But she manages to defeat Jessica one way or another. She kind of is this the one where she does the Kamehameha, the Dragon Ball Z thing to Jessica?
Yes.
To like spit it out of her.
Yeah, you get the exorcism. The kung fu exorcism, basically.
Yes. Okay. So she exercises,
which is it's also reminiscent of the paralyzation that Tai Lung can do in Kung Fu Panda.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, she does that. Jessica wakes up and is like, "What's going on? Where am I?"
Yeah. She's like, "Oh, you're at the museum. You need to get down to homecoming." She's like, "What about? I thought you won." She's like, "Oh, there's more things more important than homecoming." She looks back at the whatever.
And also before Jessica has been exorcised, Grandma shows up with the outfit.
Yes, yeah, we do
But also, I love a good outfit, so I'm forgiving this particular thing.
Okay, it's a very cool outfit. She shows up the outfit, and like it's just a cut, and suddenly she's wearing it. She goes from her little prom dress into wearing the cool. It's a very cool looking outfit.
Yeah,
I love how it's gold and
tunic.
blue.
It's a gold and blue oriental, I think is the correct word, patterned tunic with the very flowy like linen pants underneath.
She wears the hell out of this thing.
As somebody who has also worn one of these, so comfy. Like,
it looks it.
Everything breathes. Now, I don't know if I would fight in it, but it's so it's very nice. Anyways.
She does this, but it's a strange quick change where it's like I don't know how she got out of the
movie magic.
Yeah,
it's the Yin Warrior magic. In
the version of this where it does take place at homecoming, I think she stays in her homecoming dress, and that's part of the fun of it. Is that she's kicking ass in the. I like that we get both. I guess
you do get both because you get like the
first half of it. She's in the dress
skirt that is like stupid floofy.
It's a good dress too. Like for a Disney Channel costuming, like we talk about like the ugly 2000s fashion that they throw these girls in, you know.
Yeah.
But like her
Hollister.
Yeah. Just the jeans and the layers and the hats and the whatever. Yeah. But like her dress here is actually pretty. It looks like an actual.
Yeah, it's like a pink and orange satin dress. Do I think that anybody would wear it in this time period? Not for maybe another 5-10 years. That fashion's not going to come back for a minute.
No.
But classic enough.
Yeah.
That it's not necessarily timeless, but it's not egregious.
But they defeat Jessica. Jessica scurries off. It seems like the day is saved. Jessica learns nothing, by the way, because she sucks.
Yep.
She just goes off to win. Also, she's not in a good looking dress either. She is not dressed to win homecoming right now. So I feel
she's in a funeral dress.
Yeah, they really, man,
it is reminiscent of the warrior, like.
I see what they're going for.
Yeah.
You see what they're going for.
The warriors, like armor,
battle skirt type stuff.
Yeah, battle skirt. Yeah. That's exactly what I was needing.
Yes.
It's reminiscent of that, but it's also like
you gotta love the implication that like Yev Lo and her body is like, all right, I gotta look good for the final battle.
Yeah.
What is this teenage girl gonna look good? Like she just goes through her closet and be like,
but there's also in that same year there is also a world, not even a world, that is also a real thing. That is a real dress that a grandmother or a middle-aged woman picks up at Dillard's to wear to church. Like it's that sort of dress. It's not like a homecoming dress.
Oh, Jessica is a church bitch too. Who's just constantly volunteering and
Amanda
telling everybody
Bynes and Easy A
about it. Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
yes.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Great pull.
I got them sometimes. But yeah, so she yeets off. And then Grandma invites everybody back to the house.
The day is not saved, though, because
the terracotta warriors that have all disintegrated as the monks or as teachers have disintegrated them.
Yep.
come together into a physical entity of Yan Lo, which is the first time in apparently thousands of years
Yeah,
that
because Shin is
homie
like,
has shown up himself.
yeah,
Which is wild.
yeah. Shin's like, this is the first time this has happened. I was wondering why I survived this time.
And she was like, that helps me none. That I thought was a really good line, actually. Mm-hmm. Where she's like, what is this? And he was like, he's never shown up like this before. And she's like, that helps me absolutely none.
Yeah. They win by the power of plot. They just kind of fight him together. There is a great shot of the two of them
Shen
here.
dies a little bit. He gets his chakra hit and starts to lose his life, but she enacts her chakra. I'm just quoting Naruto at this point. I'm just relating it back to what I would see in Naruto. Mm-hmm. So you've got the one chakra closed, and she does the thing with her hand to open it. We don't get any explanation on what this is, but that's what I'm saying this is. He comes back to life, and he was like, you saved me. I'm alive.
Yep.
Damsel in distress. And
you like that it's the guy.
This movie does the switcheroo that, and I think that's why we all gravitated to it, and it did so well, is because it does the switcheroos, but it does not claim that it does the switcheroos.
It doesn't draw attention. It doesn't pat us off on the back for it. Type thing.
Absolutely not. So then they get up together, do the flying kick.
There's a great shot here of the two of them, like arms outstretched, and then like come get it type.
Fighting
little
stance,
kung fu fighting stance. Yeah. Which again kind of just shows like they cared about this. You can see the storyboard for this one a bit more than you can for others. So there's a deliberateness to this.
And you get the Karate Kid kick.
Yeah, they just kick him and break him apart.
And they hit his chakra now and disintegrate it basically.
Breaks apart.
And then the PDA teacher, who was the crane, comes out and is like, Yan Lo has been fully defeated. He's never coming back. This is your last life, Shin. Yeah. Which, shouldn't this have been a bigger moment? Shouldn't this have been a bigger fight? Shouldn't it have been more than just a kick of the two of them doing it? Like, I understand the power of friendship.
Well, this goes back to there's no rules. There's no
I guess
there's no Elder Wand we specifically need to defeat him. The movie is just going by the seat of its pants, rules wise and lore wise, magic wise.
Yeah, they spent so much time storyboarding they forgot to figure out how it works.
Yeah, which is why I'm thinking it would be better again if either Peter is possessed by the thing and the defeat is more that we need to free him from him, or that there's a secondary villain who is just channeling Yan Lo or something and defeating him. I don't know. If you make it a more human, grounded villain and maybe get rid of this Shin has to die. I don't know. There's a rewrite you could do here to where this doesn't feel quite as sudden or doesn't feel...
Because it's not as satisfying.
Or even the threat isn't as nebulous, kind of like we talked about.
Yeah.
So this is the most underwritten part of the movie.
Yes.
Is the Kung Fu movie parts of it. Mm-hmm. And especially just compared to the other half where the family drama and the teen drama.
Yeah, because you spent so much time with all of that.
And Shin becoming a normal teen and stuff like that. I definitely feel like this half of the movie just needed another write or so to clean up or just develop a better villain, develop better rules for whatever we need to defeat him and all that. But
yeah,
it ends pretty suddenly anyway here as we get to. So, but yeah, so the teachers are like, you're free to go, Shin, and he's like, you're fired. We don't need you to commit to life being your purpose has been served because this is your last life anyway.
Yes.
So enjoy it.
The monks yeet out of the teachers.
Yep, monks yeet. Oh, and this is fun. They do a little Mulan spirit thing.
Yeah.
Where they bow to her in spirit form and stuff, which is fun.
Yeah.
That looks pretty good for what it is. Grandma takes him home to get mooncakes.
Yeah, she's like, "Oh, you're all coming home. You're all coming over for mooncakes," and they're like, "Okay."
All
but then they're it's also really funny to see them all because they all got beat the fuck up.
Right. Yeah. So soccer teacher especially got yeeted into a crate, and it looked like it was hurt. Yeah.
And so you see all of them are confused as to why they their bodies hurt that bad.
And that happens to Peter too, where he's like, ow, earlier when he was possessed. So like I like the comedy element of it. It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
And then it ends as suddenly as the rest of these movies do, as we're finding out. Shin and Wendy are like, let's go get a cappuccino.
Yeah.
After that, and they're like, let's go this way, and they just leave. And
then
that's
it's roll credits.
And it's roll credits. There's nothing.
In the freaking museum storeroom that was poorly lit and is still a mess, by the way. It did not magically come back together after that.
Yeah, we never follow up with mom and dad. They never find out what became of her and like how she actually has reconnected. Mom's job is probably lost forever. All these artifacts are broken.
Yep.
Because the Terracotta Warriors don't come back from Yanlo's like vinyl form, you know, and those are priceless. Yeah. So, let alone like the pots and pans and whatever else has been destroyed. So, and it's just the movie just stops.
Yep.
Much like Now You See It last time, like it's just over and it's like,
we're done.
Which it felt weird because the rest of this again felt so deliberate and so a little more elevated like a real movie. So just a strange climax.
Yeah.
I did not like this climax at all. I didn't really like this final fight. And
I did like that Grandma gets to coach from the sidelines because when Shen is dying, Wendy goes, what do I do? You know, and Grandma's like, use all of the things she's just like, use all of the things you learned.
And there's some stuff in that scene too where she does like repeat all the moves she learned from the monks and the teachers and stuff. So there is a delivery on all of her training stuff. It's just my core opinion at the end of this is just that half of it just feels so underdeveloped and so, which is crazy because they obviously trained so hard for it.
Yeah.
They obviously put so much effort into that.
I think maybe they just got to the end of it and they were like, I'm tired.
Yeah, well, it just in a physical sense, they clearly cared a lot. In a writing sense, it's like they almost didn't at all. So it's bizarre.
Well, and it seems as though, especially from the casting, this was a deliberate joint effort with Power Rangers. So I found his title. Koichi Sakamoto was the action unit director for this movie.
Okay.
Which is probably why all the kung fu things are thought out.
You're right.
But then he's also doing Power Rangers on New Zealand, which was the whole reason why the movie was shot.
Okay. They came to him. Thing. Okay.
Yes. And then half of the actors, or more than half, I don't know, a lot of the casted actors as far as the not necessarily Brenda Song, but everybody else pretty much, including Shin, are in the Power Rangers universe.
Gotcha.
Including her best friends.
Oh,
the
those
girls.
Two. Really?
So...
Well, even that in that case, they're pretty underutilized.
And but she is also pulling double duty for this movie because she's also filming the second season of Sweet Life of Zack and Cody.
Right.
So nobody in this movie was doing this movie
full time.
Mm-hmm. And so that might be a lot of the reasons for the choppiness of the thing. And that might be why the storyboard is so well thought out as far as because you have Koichi Sakamoto on it, looking at it, you know, thinking through the fighting scenes, and that's why that's done well, and especially for, you know, shots wise and things like that. But you don't have his full attention for the whole movie, as you shouldn't, because he's just the action unit director. Right.
Well, on his other desk is like Power Rangers. Right. So
he's got more things to do, but all of these actors also have other things to do. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't know if this particular director was working on something else the time as well, but presumably so, because everybody else was. Yeah. So
maybe
there's just a lot going on for all of the folks involved in this project.
It's definitely just an undercooked script to me, which is, I think that's kind of my core criticism. The physicality of it is pretty good for what it is.
The writer's room did include one woman.
Great. No, you can tell, I would say. I think you can tell.
Well, that's why I'm trying to, because again, quiet on set, not to keep bringing this up, but I probably will. The writer's room having a woman was such a big deal, and they had to split a salary, and that's fucked. Sure. So at least for this movie, there was one woman specifically on this movie. Yeah.
Well, let's get into our ratings on this one.
Plot.
I'll give
again for the writers, undercooked script.
I don't want to be mean and say like a 2.5. I'll give it a 3. Because it's not particularly it doesn't need to be super complicated. Mm-hmm. All of my little suggestions I'm saying feel like they're more complicated
Their style choices too.
And their kind of style choices, and they would end up, I think, sidelining the things that the movie's primarily interested in, which is the cultural stuff. So like I'll give it a 3. It's easy to follow. Mm-hmm. It's the main plot to me is more so the relationship between Wendy and Shin, and that is pretty well done.
Yeah, I would say 4. Only higher because of the well thought outness of the culture. I don't know if that, again, I'm not super well versed in that part of my culture, so
right.
I don't know all of it. But enough so that, you know, looking back through it, it's connected really well to my own stuff. And then additionally, a point docked off for the moments of why, you know, how did we get here? Yeah. Or, you know, why is this? Or whatever. So production,
I'll give a 4 because I like the costuming in this because it seems grounded. Like there's not a whole lot of fantasticalness to this. Obviously the fight stuff is really cool. The CGI is okay.
Yeah.
Like it gets away with it. I like that they shot it on like a location in New Zealand. I think that's really cool, and they take advantage of that for the most part, outside of like the climax being in a freaking dungeon, you know. But otherwise, like they make good use of the space, like they make good use of the park.
Yep.
Even like Wendy's fashion, you know, like her costuming and stuff is really
she's very well accessorized throughout.
She's right, but it doesn't feel over the top, like compared to like how Ali Mashaka looked in the last one, where it was very much like, here is your standardized Disney Channel wardrobe. You know, you can kind of tell in this one they were like, okay, like we need, like Wendy has a very specific look to her that's while still very 2000s and of the time feels a little more personalized to Brenda's song than, like, you know, or whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah, so yeah, I'd give it a 4.
I'll also give it a 4.
The music is good. That was the other thing I wanted to say.
That one particular training song screwed it up for me.
Oh yeah.
That plus the final boss fight being not a final boss fight.
Yeah.
Set wise. Those are my 2 docs for that.
Yeah.
And then finally,
performance, I would say, man, I'm almost tempted to give this one a 5. I'll stick at 4 because there's still some Disney Channel acting going on here and there, like with the boyfriend, with Jessica, even with like the teachers, and it's mainly the supporting cast that bring it down. And that a lot of that does kind of go back to production and the script, not giving them a whole lot to do. And, you know, Brenda Song's doing good. There's still a bit of London in there that you could shave off, and maybe she could do something a little more differentiated. But you know, Shin is obviously really great. Sai-Chen is really great. She's, you know,
she's excellent.
Fantastic presence.
Facial.
It really is mainly those 3. And the parents too, actually. The parents also have a good little subtlety to them. So yeah, so I'd give it
the scenes that they are given.
Yeah.
I would also give them a 4. So I think for me, this one's kind of just 4s across the board. Obviously, I cried in this episode. I did not intend to. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
But I think grandmother aspect aside, the cultural aspect of this is so important for the representation, is so important for normalizing that and not making it a gimmick.
No, it doesn't.
So often, you know, like the being exotic is a gimmick that is used in even just supporting characters, you know, for any
the tokenism of like a best friend character and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah. And that is not what this is at all.
Well, I think it's elevated too by making it so Wendy is not a token herself, is that she is a popular girl. She's Asian and a popular girl. Like so that it doesn't categorize her as like being set apart because of her her heritage and stuff like that.
And we didn't tokenize her as the Asian being the smart one either.
True, which is also like
it was the whole point of London tipped in as a character as well.
Yeah, sets her apart in a more interesting, you know, not in the sense that her being dumb is like a positive character trait or anything, but it differentiates her as from the stereotype that you would think that like you would think that she would be Maddie in Sweet Life, and the fact that she's not is actually more interesting. Right. So yeah.
So good all overall. I don't know how to end this one.
Well, you know what? As we're finding out with these Disney Channel movies,
it's just done.
We're
done.
They don't know how to end either, man. They're weird. But we'll be back with the final one in our Disney Channel original summer
There you go. You get the bop
series. Yep, we'll be back with the last one of those. And
Are we announcing it?
you know what? Sure.
Because I've been keeping this one a secret.
We'll go ahead and announce it. You want to announce it?
No.
You want me to announce it?
No.
You don't want to announce it?
No.
You don't. You want to tease it out?
Yes.
Okay.
We'll be back.
We'll be back with the next secret episode of the podcast of Critics.